Hey, Corinne. So I don't have a pension, and I'm wondering, what are they? Should I get one?
Pensions are something that are actually less common and available now than they were before. So we talk about 401ks in a separate video and IRAs in another video. So you should definitely check those out. But those are actually kind of new. 401ks only came around in the 70s, and before that, a lot of people had pensions. But now, since employers are offering 401ks, pensions aren't as available. And that's to say that you can only get a pension through who you work for. So if your company that or your employer doesn't offer a pension, that's not something that you can really get, from like a bank or an investment company. It's just not an option. So unfortunately, it's not something that you can go out and get on your own.
Okay, so how do they work for the people who do have access to them?
Yeah, so pensions can be a really helpful way to save for retirement. You'll hear this common thing said sometimes when financial planners or people who are talking about personal finance discuss retirement, and they refer to the three-legged stool, and they talk about Social Security benefits, 401ks or IRAs or like your personal savings that you put towards retirement, and then pensions. So, pensions can be this other area that allows us to have a certain amount of money every single month in retirement. Basically, a pension is a guarantee from the person that you work for that after you work with them for a certain number of years, they will give you a fixed amount of money every single month until you pass away. So that's really a helpful tool for people who have access to them because it takes some of the responsibility off of you to save for all of your retirement. If we're thinking about that three-legged stool, pensions knocks out a big chunk of money that you might need each month in retirement, and then you're making up the difference with your 401k or your IRA, and then maybe you'll be getting Social Security as well. Most of us get Social Security. Some people who actually qualify for pensions, like teachers and people who work for railroads, for example, they don't pay into Social Security, so all they get is their pension. But the point here is that it can be a really nice way to have another stream of money coming in every single month during retirement that you don't really have to put much effort into. You just have to maybe pay a contribution from your paycheck into a pension fund, and then your employer is taking all the responsibility for investing that money for you and then giving you a guaranteed amount every single month based off of how long you work with them.
So that does sound pretty simple compared to I'm thinking about like the 401k when we had that video that we talked about, like figuring out where you want to invest it and checking in on it regularly to make sure you don't need to move things around. And then it seems like you also don't have that guarantee of like an exact amount every month that's going to come in because the stock market can kind of fluctuate. So this sounds like a good thing for people who have it.
Yeah, I mean, it can be a really great thing for those who have access to it because it's just one less thing to really worry about. And that's what had made them such a special thing for employees in the past. And that made them a really difficult thing for employers, right? Like it's really hard for companies to guarantee this kind of money. It creates, takes on some risk for them. So when we think about 401ks, we're investing our money and we're responsible for figuring out how we want to invest that. Instead, the employer is doing all of that work for us, which is why they're just really uncommon now. A lot of employers were like, hey, we can do this 401k thing for our employees instead, and instead have them manage all of their money. Let's do that. So that's why we don't see pensions as often. But we do see them, of course, in like state employment, government employment. Those are the areas that we see pensions most often. My father worked with UPS for 30 years, and he got a pension through that job as well. So we can sometimes see pensions offered through companies that are somehow connected with a union too. So they're out there. Some people do get them, and that's a great benefit. But for those of us that don't, we just really want to prioritize our 401ks and our IRAs and other ways that we can save on our own, so we don't need to, be missing that third leg of the stool. One thing to keep in mind with pensions is that they're tied to working with the same person for a long period of time. And what we know now more and more is that people are not staying with the same employer for really long periods of time. So that's kind of an advantage to having 401ks now, in that our money can move with us. As we go from job to job, we talk about 401k rollovers in a separate video, so you can learn how that's helpful there. But if you do leave a job where you had access to a pension, one of the things that you're probably going to hear from HR on your way out is, what do you want to do with this pension? Do you want to get a lump sum payout for it? And that's something that really warrants a conversation with a financial planner, because there are a few different things that you can do with that money that we want to make sure fits into your overall plan. You do have the option of actually bringing it into another retirement account, like a 401k or an IRA. So we just want to go about that the right way. So that's a good time to give a financial planner a call. We can help you with that.